We have a very powerful talisman right here to guide us through what we're about to do, which is talk about the era from whence this watch sprang, and also talk about the way that somehow this really impractical, completely oversized watch and trope of watchmaking has had such powerful comebacks and continues to be relevant. I do have to say, I am suspicious. IWC have provided this with the entire new collection of the Big Pilot 43mm and said that it's a historical item. And I believe that it is, but if that is the case, and it has a engraved case band, it has an official stamp on the back, then this is absolutely remarkable because this watch has not a mark on it. So this is clearly a safed heritage piece with the most even patina to the numerals, the indices, the hands. They're blued hands. There's a blued seconds hand. So, and again, we have marking and marring on the strap. So everything suggests that this is indeed straight from, 81 years ago. I also want to address something that I threw down earlier very whimsically, very easily. It's a word that's tossed around in the industry, but it's not one that I like to toss around unless I can back it up. And that is that I said it's a cultural icon. Every model wants to be an icon. And some models want to be an icon so badly that they call themselves the icon with misspelling. But this is a true claim at an icon. We had this wall poster up at Time and Tide. And look, it's not an official document. This is just another fun piece of memorabilia. But there, right there in 2002, in the history of time, the most iconic models ever is the Big Pilot. And we will get to why the watch hit the spot yet again. How many years is that? I'm so bad at math. 62 years after it was first created. But we go back in time to 1940 before we get to this very tasty issue of how the new Big Pilots are different to the 2002 models. And that is, what was life like in 1940 for the pilot watch-wearing human being? It was truly a watch for pilots only, and it remained that way for decades. You know, in modern life, we tend to appropriate watches from all kinds of backgrounds and purposes and intentions and repurpose them for fashion. This was not the case in 1940. These watches were entirely tool watch by name and by nature. Everything about their design, inside and out, reflected their purpose, which was to accompany somebody on a perilous journey into the skies. Now, let me go through some of those engineering challenges that faced brands like International Watch Company at the time. Magnetism. This was always a major issue for pilots in their cockpit. So this watch had a soft inner iron cage which resisted magnetism. Power reserve of 50 hours in 1940 was far longer than the average. Legibility, of course, was easily sort of navigated by taking a pocket watch size dial and movement and putting that into a wristwatch configuration. And also fluctuations in temperature. As you would know from your flying experience, it is a very different temperature far up in the skies, and without temperature controlled cabins as we enjoy now, these watches needed to be able to deal with the rapid drops in temperature as the altitude was increased. Now, all of these attributes and all of these boxes ticked meant that watches like this were declared suitable for the German Air Force, also the British RAF, the Royal Air Force, and in 1948, IWC were one of the official suppliers to the RAF. Now, all of that establishes the credentials, the provenance, the legitimate DNA of IWC pilot watches. And when the Big Pilot returned in 2002, it returned with a bang. And you know, IWC talk about this watch becoming a cultural icon, and everyone can have a theory about why an oversized watch, highly legible, very masculine, was able to make such a big impact. But really for me, I think it's, you know, there's a lot of mention in IWC's recent history about the way this watch crossed over with popular culture. And that's because the IWC Big Pilot model is just so recognizable when it's on the wrist. So, on TV shows, talk show appearances, movies, on screen, this watch found a very immediate and very recognizable home. I know when I've worn this watch on screen for Watch and Chill episodes, it is standing out a mile. When I see it on Bradley Cooper's wrist when he goes on a talk show, when John Mayer wears it on a Talking Watches episode, it's there and it's plainly there to see. And I think all of those attributes that made it a great pilot watch made it a great cultural icon for IWC and really just put it in a singular place as a type of watch. So why then do we see yet another evolution of the Big Pilot in 2021?